Bet. Just starting with recap of our win over USF. I was really proud of the staff and players and how the guys prepared. It was great to be at home in front of the crowd, and there's a lot that goes into that. And so it felt like we were physical. I thought we played fast. I thought our guys executed the game plan in many ways, and we were able to come out of the game healthy, which is always a critical piece, and play a lot of guys, and many of them played well. Some of them getting their first reps out there and making their plays in the stadium for the first time. So that'll be a huge growing opportunity for that group. As a team, we only had 3 penalties. It all starts with not beating ourselves, and I was pleased with that. I do think we could even be better. We had 1 encroachment penalty on defense, and couldn't find the 1 penalty they called on the offense. But we could be better, but it was much improved from where we were a year ago. Offensively, we rushed the ball well. Bam, Ricky, and Jordan were all very productive. The O-line and tight end group and receivers all battled in the run game, to rush for 290 plus and not have any balls on the ground from a fumble standpoint. Proud of those guys for that. And, I thought our receivers really strained blocking, and that was something that was a point of emphasis for that group. Devin at quarterback played well. He got the ball to a lot of people. He had a few plays I know he wishes he had back, and I do like how he got better as the game went on. I think there was some rust there at the beginning for him, and then he just settled in and played pretty good football for us and distributed the ball to a lot of people. Negatives, I think we missed a couple opportunities, left some plays out there. Had Thayer wide open and underthrew a ball, which ended up being intercepted, and he had Porter on a corner route that we missed. And then just some fundamental things in protection. We gave up a sack, and guys can do some things better there. I think there's nothing like game day when it comes to correcting the things that you might get away with in practice when it's not live. It really shows up. And so offensively, very pleased, but also a lot of things we can work on. Defensively, you get shut out. At 3 takeaways, 2 of them were in the red zone. And I thought we played the ball well in the defensive back area, better than I've seen us play it. Guys were attacking the football, breaking on balls, didn't give up an explosive play for a touchdown, obviously, with the shutout. Thought we tackled well. Our first game, there's only a handful of plays where guys used poor mechanics. Had several 3 and outs, had a 4th down stop. So it was a good performance. Didn't have any sacks. It's probably one area you'd love to see us get some more sacks there. But, at the same time, we got 3 takeaways and a 4th down stop and a handful of 3 and outs. I think we had 4 3 and outs. I do think, the deep ball a couple times got down the field on us and we didn't play it well. There was the one with Pitts and one with Cyrus where we can clean that up. And when our backups, the reserves came in the game later on, there were several times guys just didn't get lined up quick enough and communicate the way they need to. So that'll be great opportunity for the coaches with those guys that, are in the second role or the third role that got in there, just to clean up some things with them. There's nothing like game day for that. I was really pleased with our special teams. I thought, we played the field position game well. We punted the ball 3 times inside of their 10 and downed it. 2 with Trent and 1 when we brought Finley in to do it. Had some positive returns with Thayer and Bam, and it was great. Those 3 specialists we have are really good players, and it's nice having Chris Dunn back to full health. But it was a good day. It was really fun to have our fans back, and the student section was awesome. They are, in my opinion, the heartbeat of the fan environment, and when they're on, it changes everything in there, and they were awesome. They were there for 4 quarters. They were there early, and they changed our stadium in a good way, and just thankful to them and really want them to be a partner with us for the year, no matter what. And you guys make that such a special night and day. And so please keep coming back and bringing that energy as a student section. It was awesome. I know our fan base appreciates it. And I do feel like you set the tone for what's going on in there with the fans, with your energy. I know our players feed off of it. So we thank you for that. Having the fans there, the band there, the whole thing, the fireworks, the flyover. It was an awesome, awesome day. And so appreciative to everybody on that. Now on to our first road trip, go to Davis Wade Stadium in Starkville and play, a tough Mississippi State group. First time in a while that we'll be preparing for crowd noise, and the cowbell will be in full effect, I know, and we look forward to that. We look forward to the pageantry and the noise and fanfare and everything that goes into it. It's going to be awesome, and I have great respect for Mississippi State's program. Have for a long time. They're a blue collar, tough group, very similar, passionate, tough. I like what they're about, and I've always respected how they play. Coach Leach, have known him a long time, and he's a winner. He's a builder of programs. He's done it multiple places, and he's very innovative offensive coach, and have great respect for him. His offense is unique, and have played against him when he was at Texas Tech. And obviously we've got some coaches here that work for him, with Brian Mitchell and Ruffin, who've been around, their offense. But defensively, they're very aggressive. They're like us in a 3-3-5 alignment, but there's lots of line of scrimmage movement, lots of stunts, lots of blitzes. And we got to be able to handle their style of play up front and stay ahead of the chains. It's not a team you want to give long yardage type things to. They do a lot of good stuff. You want to try to stay ahead of the change, which we were able to do last week. I thought they showed a lot of grit in their game. They were down 20 and 13 minutes left in the fourth quarter. I know they didn't play well up until that point, but they sure played well the final 13 minutes. And their quarterback showed a lot of poise, bringing them back. They've got a lot of size, O-line and D-line. They're massive up front, and they got a lot of guys that played for them that are back, and a few transfers. So it's going to be a good football game. Excited to go play against a team like them from the SEC, and to get to do it in their stadium with the fan base that they'll have. So with that, I'll open it up for any questions.
Jonas, you want to start us off?
Yep. Good afternoon, Coach. You mentioned in your opening statement how you guys didn't have any sacks, but it seemed like either Forden or McClain were off their spots or uncomfortable for most of the night. Were you happy with the pressure from the front, the defensive line, and I think I had stepped up a huge notch knowing that Mississippi State's going to throw the ball 50 times Saturday? Yeah.
Well, I think what you're looking for is getting the ball back for your offense. And there's a lot of ways to do that. You may not sack the quarterback as many times as you want, but you got to hit him. You got to pressure him. You got to get him off the spot. You got to force incompletions. And we did some of that. There's some areas we can be better. And I think it's a multitude of things. I've always felt like a lot of times you don't get sacks and people immediately blame the D-line. I think there's a lot of people that rush the quarterback for us. There's linemen, there's linebackers, sometimes there's DBs, but there's also coverage things. The guys have to give the rush a chance to get there with how we play coverage. And, so there's a lot of things that this tape will show us that we can get better at. And you're right. We have to be a team that can do that against a Mississippi State offense. And again, yes, you want the sacks because you want to put them in long yardage situations. But more so, you want to force the interceptions. You want to get that ball where, like, La Tech had a pick six on him when he was scrambling around, so you got to try to get him out where he doesn't want to be, get him out of his comfort zone, not give him the time that he normally has, and then get the ball back for your offense with the pressure that you create.
Aaron.
Hey, Dave, you mentioned maturity the other night about how your guys handled the game. And I guess there's a second part to that of how they handle success after the fact. What did you sense from them in light of how they were handled it the other night on game night?
Yeah, I thought we were good on game night. We didn't have any after the whistle type stuff, where guys were doing things the refs were worried about. Yeah, we celebrated interceptions, but that was us as a team, not us taunting anyone. And I thought our guys did a nice job understanding how to have fun and do it within the rules. And as far as being mature enough to handle success. That's first conversation we had after the game. You know, you to enjoy it for 24 hours, man, and soak it in. When we get back to work, we're on to the next one, and that one doesn't matter anymore. And the guys were hook, line, and sinker with it. They understand it. Now we got to go do it. But they definitely understood where I was coming from with it.
Andrew,
Dave, looking at Cyrus Fagan in his first game in an NC State uniform, he had the pick. It looked like he got into the backfield and made a couple plays against the run. What did you see from him, and what are you looking to see from him going forward?
Well, Cyrus plays the ball well. You know, I think he reads the quarterback well. He breaks on it before the ball gets there a lot, does it in practice too. He's a ball hawk. You know, as far as the tackling aspect, he had one really nice, they ran a perimeter screen, and Tyler Baker-Williams turned it back and he came up and hit it. And he brings a lot of energy. He does it every day. He's one of those enthusiasm type players that I think feeds the team in a positive fashion. And so we're glad he's here. You know, I think he's created really needed competition in the back end with him and Jaqueen, and it's going to make Jaqueen better. It makes Cyrus better. They know they got to play off each other that way.
Rob,
Yeah, Dave, how much of the SEC versus ACC do you speak to that to your team? Does that matter? Is this just another non-conference game?
No, I mean, I don't really have to say a lot, Rob, with that. You know, it was brought up in our team meeting yesterday. You know, we're playing another Power 5 team, and from a conference that gets a lot of notoriety, and it's an opportunity for us to continue to earn respect. Obviously, playing on the road against a team like that from their league, if you find a way to win that game, it's good for your team. It's good for your program. So our guys are aware that, you know, we're playing an SEC team. It won't be something I talk about 5 days in a row, I can tell you that. But, you know, it is something worth conversation.
Todd Gibson,
Yeah, Dave, kind of piggybacking off of Rob's question, the ACC kind of had a tough weekend this past weekend. From a coaching standpoint, do you not like, obviously you probably don't like to see that, but do you look at it as an opportunity too for your team to move up in the etching order?
Well, there's a lot of football left, you know, and we talked as a team the other day about it, and we can't get too high with our win, and those teams that lost, they're going to get better, you know, and I think there were some good games played. I mean, you had, you know, UNC Virginia Tech at Virginia Tech's a good football game. You know, it was a one possession game. You know, last night, another one possession game with Florida State and Notre Dame. And so there's good football games. Clemson, Georgia was a heck of a football game. It wasn't like we went out and laid an egg. I mean, there was a bunch of competitive games, and we were one possession away as a league of making a bunch of good things happen. So, you know, I told the team this, you watch the playoffs every year, there's usually 3 teams in the playoffs with 1 loss. Usually one team's undefeated and the other 3 aren't, you know, and so we're only 1 week in. There's so much football left, and we just need to focus on us, you know, and being the best we can be against a good Mississippi State team.
Daniel,
Morning, Coach. Bam garnered a lot of attention in the preseason. Like a lot of people are saying that he was going to be one of the conference's premier backs. I actually want to ask about Ricky. Do you think that during the USF game that he was kind of basically playing with a chip on his shoulder, and that made him like, you know, have to stand out a little bit more, saying like, hey, I'm here too?
You know, you probably should ask Ricky that. I think Ricky played really well, and so did Bam. I think those 2 guys, they're really good friends. They feed off of each other. They cheer for each other, and they need each other. You know, to play this type of football for as long as we want to play, you need to have a rotation back there. And so I think we're in a really good situation. We look at them both as starters. I'm sure from a competitive standpoint, Ricky's trying to prove himself, and I'm sure Bam is too. They're both pretty humble guys that want to be the best they can be. So, you know, from a personal standpoint, I think he would be better to speak on that than I would.
Brett,
Dave, from a program standpoint, how important is a game like this? How big of an opportunity is it?
Well, it's a great opportunity. I mean, you go play against a coach like Mike Leach, who's done nothing but win everywhere he's coached, in a stadium that, has, I've been reading about it all day, just the fanfare, the noise, it's 61,000, but it sounds like 100,000, like the whole thing, it's going to be an awesome opportunity. And then, we're on ESPN, so great audience for people to watch the game and then come home, and get a home game the week after. So it's a great opportunity for us.
Matt Carter.
Yeah, Coach, what do you remember about preparing for Mike Leach's offense when you were back at Kansas? What those weeks were like to prepare for them, and how much of their offense evolved, or is it still a lot of the same principles?
Yeah. We had 4 games with them when I was there. It's a tough offense. They were at Texas Tech at that time. They were in their sweet spot. They were playing really good, and Crabtree at receiver. I can't remember. I mean, had Graham Harrell might have been the quarterback when we played against him. I can't remember if it was him or no, I'm not sure. They were all just throwing for 5,000 yards every year, but they could score, man. And so, for us defensively, we had to do a lot. It's really like playing on third down, on first and second down in a lot of ways. I mean, his passing game playbook's the same: first down, second down, third down, exception of short yardage. And, he can run his run plays whenever he wants. But he just very, very good at what they do. They don't do a ton. There's not a ton of formations. There's really good understanding of spacing and timing in their offense and doing things after the catch with it. And you have to be able to tackle in space. And I think their screen game is really underrated. I think their perimeter screens is no different than us running a stretch play. I mean, they get the ball out quick, so you can't get to the quarterback. And then there's lead blockers for a wide out, and can you shed blocks and tackle in space? I think he's got a great system. He understands ins and outs. And, as a defensive coach, you've got to have answers, and you can't be one dimensional. You have to be able to do a lot of different things against him, because if you sit in one thing, he can just pick you apart.
Gibby.
Yeah, Dave, Drake Thomas looked like and was running around like a defensive back on Thursday night. He doesn't seem as thick as he was last year. Is that true? And is that something he kind of took on himself? And then what do you like in those results?
Yeah, Drake has changed his diet about, 9 months ago or so, and really leaned out. I couldn't give you his exact weight, in a low or high 220, low 230 area probably. But he's just, body fat wise, changed that. I think coming out of last year, he had the opportunity to do a lot of rehab from his shoulder, and he's in really, really good condition right now. And you're right, he looks great. He's playing fast. It's the best football game I've seen him play. I thought he was really elite Thursday night.
Rob.
Yeah, how hard is it to prepare for a team with an odd front when you don't know which gaps the pressure is going to come in? And how helpful is it to go against your ones on defense and scrimmage to help you prepare for Mississippi State?
Well, it helps, that we're 3-3-5. So there's a lot of carryover when you look at some of the coverage aspects, some of the pressures. So there are similarities there, Rob. With regard to the stunts, they do a lot of different run game stunts and pass game stunts. Some are similar to ours, some aren't. And so you just got to practice them. I think it helps that we are a 3-down front now. It's getting them ready for what all those IDs are. But we'll have to get out there and simulate, some of that stuff for the offense so they can get used to how it is. And we'll do some good on good so we can get our guys doing that for them.
Jonas.
Coach, coming into the season, you talked about the depth you guys have in the secondary. Is this the week where that comes into play, because you're going to need some of you guys because they're going to throw the ball around so much?
Yeah, it'll definitely test not just our depth, but our conditioning. It's going to be a lot of running in the back end this week. And so to be able to rotate when we need to, it'll be hot there, I'm sure, at night. Maybe not as hot, but it'll still be a warm night in Mississippi. we'll have to take advantage of that depth. And I'm glad we were able to play so many of those guys last week.
And as a follow-up, Chris Ingram said, he didn't really want a lot of drop off from the ones to the twos in the secondary because, if those twos have to come in, they have to perform at the same level as the ones. What was your assessment of some of those reserve defensive backs who played against South Florida?
I think some of these guys we look at as starters, even though they don't take the first snap, like we generally, not just in the secondary, but you see that with our defensive front too. At corner right now, I mean, you could see Derek Pitts or Chris Ingram. You could see Aiden White in the game, on the other side. You can see Shy Battle in the game or Tayshawn Smith. And we look at any of those guys on the field as starters for us. There isn't a drop off in our opinion. There's a drop off, at the end of the game. We started putting some guys in the game that are not in that boat to us yet. They're still what I would consider developing, So, Josh Pierre-Lewis is a guy that comes in and does some good things. And then you can see the difference between him and Tyler at times on getting lined up. Tyler can line up faster than him. Those are little things, that come out. But like Jakeem played and then Cyrus played equal reps, and we look at that as both guys are going to help us. Same thing with the running back position. So I think in general, when we put in younger players, you hear the volume of your communication go down. They're not as confident because they haven't played as much. So they don't speak as loud. They're not as quick. They're still processing information while the others aren't. They're just putting it out there. They know what to do. And I think that's where it shows the most. I think we gave up 170 some yards after we put in, kind of all the reserve developmental players. And thankfully they didn't give up a touchdown. But so it's valuable minutes, but there's some frustrating moments that goes with them.
Aaron.
Dave, with the playing on Thursday, how did you handle the extra time with lead up? Did you jump right in or did you try to give a little bit of time to regroup and get on a normal Monday, Saturday kind of schedule?
Yeah. So we brought the team in on Friday and treated that like a Sunday. So watched the film with the guys, got them, put the game to bed, we call it, and moved on, gave them Saturday off to recover. And coaches went out and recruited on Friday. And then we were off Saturday as well, watched all the college football we could and came back Sunday with a little bit of lead time because we didn't have to break down our game. It was already put to bed. So it allowed us to jump into Mississippi State as a staff on Sunday right away, as opposed to breaking down our previous game, which we had done that on Friday. With the players, they'll be on the field like a normal week, but just with a little more rest in the front end of it.
Just to follow up, when you said watching football, I know you're focused on your team. When you're watching like Saturday, the ACC results come in, are you watching from any kind of conference perspective, like, oh, this is not a great day for the conference? Or are you thinking we're going to play Clemson and I'm staring at what Clemson's going to do later in the season? Like, can you do both or is it more strategic and game prep?
It's hard for me to just watch a game and have fun watching it. I'm learning, I'm watching, I'm trying to put myself in the head coach's shoes right there. What would I have done in that scenario? Yeah, I mean, I'm always thinking about our conference. I want our conference to do well. But yeah, there's strategic things. There's also, relaxation too. Like, hey man, I don't have to deal with this 4th down decision right here. I'm laughing, you know what I mean? So I'm having fun with it. I mean, it's relaxing. Try to not put any stress into my life that I don't need to, but I enjoyed, there's a lot of really good football on that Saturday. It was nice to watch Wisconsin, Penn State play. And then I watched the Mississippi State La Tech game, which was another tight game. Watched the Georgia Clemson game, another tight game. So there's some really good football games on to watch.
Andy.
Hey, Coach. When you're preparing for Mississippi State's offense, I mean, what kind of challenge does Jaquavius Marks, the running back over there, what kind of challenge does he just pose in the running game, the passing game, and what he's kind of able to do all over?
Well, he's a really good receiver for him out of the backfield. I think that's the first thing that you see. I mean, he's gifted catching the ball. He's good at running it after the catch. He's thick enough. He can run through you and quick enough to make you miss. And as you know, they're spacing things out. So there's a lot of room in there. You know, it's not like you're going to pack the box all day long, and go one-on-one with their wideouts. He's going to have some lighter boxes to run into at times because your coverage stuff. So, yeah, I mean, he's definitely a guy that probably gets under the radar because of how much they throw it. But I think he broke a lot of records there as a freshman running back with catches out of the backfield, if I'm not mistaken.
Thank you.
Yep.
Are there any other questions for Coach? All right, Coach, thank you. Thank